Hi, my name is Tony Chan. I'm editor-at-large at ComStay International, a weekly newsletter covering the telecoms industry. And with me today is Jarrett Appleby, the Chief Marketing Officer for Equinix. And we're here to talk about what Equinix, how Equinix sees the market, and what its position is within this whole cloud computing economy, I guess. So, Jarrett, where do you see Equinix, its role or position within the market today?
Well, the network community is really evolving, and we see a lot of requirements around data center networking in particular. So at the foundation of it is really network-rich, interconnected data centers to really enable new ecosystems. You know, we're used to the internet community come together and the peering side of that business, but it's really evolving to communities like Ethernet communities, the foundation of the network communities coming together to support end users.
Okay.
Like a lot of different types of end users.
Okay. So this is actually quite different from the traditional view of the data center, where you get this big empty room with lots of servers inside. So look, within Equinix itself, how important is actually bringing a community together, like you said, instead of like just having the space of co-location?
Well, at the foundation, it's about high availability data centers, but the real value add is the communities being able to easily interconnect to each other. And a good example of that right now is the cloud community, who are really dependent on public internet, private-public cloud solutions, and at the core of that is the ability to take advantage of the network assets in these data centers.
Okay. So Equinix is actually building a kind of platform where people can come and I guess buy and sell services. I guess multiple services, not just one, right? You have the traditional IPX, and then you have the new Ethernet exchange, right?
Yeah, at the foundation of the platform are data centers distributed around the world. So global reach is very important to get close to end user and the end user community and employees. So you need a platform around the world. And then it's about a marketplace to be able to buy and sell services. You got to think of these data centers are becoming the marketplace for the digital economy. And we're seeing some major trends. Gartner calls it the hyper-digitization of the economy, where in the next 10 years, 25% of the world's GDP will be driven through a digital economy.
Okay. The digital economy, you mean basically content and services and that kind of thing?
It starts with that, but the digital economy is monetizing all your legacy assets and being able to distribute to the world. But the digital economy is social media, it's gaming, and probably the biggest for enterprises is cloud. And it's software as service, it's that whole infrastructure to support new models to support the cloud over time.
Right. So basically, like a lot of the revenue is actually coming into the data centers, like right now, because previously, obviously, when we think about the telecoms and IT industries, a lot of the revenue is either hardware or actual bandwidth that's being like sold to enterprises. But now there seems a big chunk of that revenue is actually moving into kind of the virtual space within a data center where you're hosting all the content and applications, right?
Yeah, only 20% of the connectivity that occurs in the data center is direct connect. 80% of what's happening there is actually connectivity out of the data centers to the community that's in a region. And this is really foundational as this group, like the subsea cable operators, open new markets. All that bandwidth needs to connect to these data centers, these interconnection hubs. And so, new markets like Dubai are opening up, and markets like Seoul in India are really evolving. And probably the biggest example of that is Singapore right now, who's taken advantage of all that connectivity and the hubs, and it's really become a cloud community hub for the marketplace.
Okay. From Equinix's perspective, when you actually go out and look for a new site to build to, I mean, perhaps before we go into potential new sites, you can give an overview of how many sites you guys have and how many of those are massive kind of like exchange points.
Well, we're continuing to spend. We spent over $3 billion building just the data center infrastructure in 35 markets around the world. And those 35 markets are critical for the existing communities. Over time, we see about 50 markets worldwide that are going to require this support of the digital economy. And those markets are in Brazil, like Sao Paulo, Dubai, Eastern Europe. They're become new hubs, from the traditional hubs that we've seen in the past.
Okay. For a market like Sao Paulo, like you mentioned, I mean, there's still a lot of talk about the lack of connectivity or lack of bandwidth running out within those markets. I mean, is that an obstacle for you? Someone?
Yeah. Traditionally, we would go into a market where there's 4 or 5 choices at a minimum, and then really bring the community on the back end of those type of offerings. So for us, as long as there's an openness and the regulatory environment allows multi-vendor, you need a core of 4 or 5 to get started with the local community and the connectivity. But there are a lot of global providers that want to come in and then extend their network.
Right.
And a typical market will evolve from 10 to 40 to even 100 or more different choices of networks in that community. And a lot of it is at that marketplace, to be able to buy and sell and partner with each other in these facilities.
Right. Okay. Perhaps you can give us an example of, like Equinix's most or densest or most active center, like how many carriers and partners do you have in there?
Yeah, probably the biggest in the world right now is in our DC campus in Ashburn, Virginia. And in that center, you have almost 200 choices now of networks. We have 6 data centers all in a virtual campus that are all interconnected. And so it allows you to connect anywhere in the campus with anyone there in the community.
Okay, and is that kind of model that you will be bringing to, like, do you foresee that kind of scale in other parts of the world?
Yeah, the major hubs of the world now are folks have developed communities in our Slough campus in London, in Amsterdam, in Singapore, Tokyo, Sydney, and then throughout the US, there's 5 or 6 key markets there. We just bought Switch and Data, which we integrated this year, to allow us to go to 22 markets in North America. So. Seattle and Denver and Toronto are also becoming major hubs for the networking community for us.
Okay. In 2011, what would Equinix be focused on?
Yeah, I think we're going to market on 5 key verticals. Some, you're very familiar with us with the networking community and cloud. We're seeing a great growth in 2010 and 11 in the mobility space, in particular with mobile users going to distributed architectures and taking advantage of design and things on the internet like we used to do, and bringing social media and gaming applications in close proximity to the networks. So that's really a hot space for us this year. Financial services continues to grow. We're moving to 15 markets now worldwide with the financial community, and then cloud. And I think that's the one that we see the most promise. This will be an inflection year, I think, for taking advantage of platforms, and so we're very excited by that.
So it seems like you guys are involved in all the basic key growth areas in the market, right? Yeah,
we're fortunate to be at that epicenter and build the trust with the network communities, and so we're very excited to collaborate and look at new service opportunities for the market in whole.
Right. Okay. Mr. Appleby, thank you very much.
Tony,
yeah,
very
great
good
talking to you.
Good to see you. Thank you.